Everybody, thank you again for joining us for this tremendous webinar between us partners, MachineMetrics and Creative Technology and Design. You might be coming to us as a MachineMetrics user, a Creative customer, neither, fans of both, just an interested party. Regardless, we're happy to have you all here today. The topic that we're going to be discussing today is bridging the gap and solving the ERP disconnect with real-time MES intelligence. And as many of you know, despite many of us, spending inordinate amounts of money, time, effort in these tremendous ERP systems, many of our manufacturing cohorts still struggle to realize the promise of the value of what's really happening within their factories. And at the core of these issues is a disconnect between business systems like ERP and shop floor operations, what's happening on the factory floor. And so we call that the ERP problem, right? Where a disconnect exists between these two processes. So today, we are a Creative's partner, MachineMetrics, and we've redefined that path forward. We built a real-time intelligent MES system that connects what's happening in your factory floors to the ERP system. And today what we're going to be discussing is the challenges with ERP and off-shelf MES systems and how they've been failing previously to deliver the value that our customers are looking to achieve, how real-time data can close that loop between planning business systems and executing the work itself on the factory floor, what a modern architecture and MES looks like when it's designed to achieve both engagement of the frontline workers and fast time to value, and then just some practical strategies for integrating ERP with production without spending a lifetime in doing that. And again, for those of us who I've worked with in the past, it's great to be back with you. My name is Graham Immerman, and I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here at MachineMetrics. I'm your MC, if you will, and I'm joined today by two incredible associates. Our Chief Product Officer here at MachineMetrics, Rutherford Wilson. Give everybody a wave, Rutherford. And we've also got our esteemed colleague, the Chief Revenue Officer of Creative Technology and Design, Bob Aronson. Bob, give everybody a wave.
Thanks, Graham. Nice to be here with everyone.
Awesome. Great to be here with you too. So just like reviewing a quick agenda for everybody, we're going to give Creative the mic, talk a little bit about themselves and what they do. We're going to do a brief introduction to MachineMetrics and what we do. Then we're going to dive into the topic today, talking about the ERP disconnect, connecting ERP to the shop floor and how that's done, how with the connection of these systems, we can unlock the core four, as they are called, which are the core use cases that align that every manufacturer has to do to get product out the door. Why MachineMetrics has been uniquely capable of solving these problems. We're going to do a bit of a shallow deep dive into Epicor Kinetic and integrating with Epicor ERP systems, how to get started, and then we're going to do a Q&A. So for those of you who are here, first of all, thank you. You got so many people here. It's great to see you all. Just a couple of reminders. This webinar is being recorded, so in the event which I can't imagine you have something better to do than be here for this awesome webinar, but in the event that you get pulled away for an emergency, this webinar is being recorded, so we can send it out to you. You can share it with your colleagues. You can watch it dozens of times on repeat. Whatever it is that you want to do with that recording, it's yours and you can have it. And lastly, there are two areas of interaction within the navigation of the webinar. We've got a chat, which you're welcome to just talk amongst yourselves and with us. We can see it when you chat. We're happy to discuss things, but more importantly, there's a Q&A prompt there. And at the end, we're going to be taking some questions. It's possible that during the webinar, we're going to be so zoned in that we might not get to your question in the moment, but rest assured at the end of the webinar, we're going to come back and try to answer as many of those questions as possible. So by all means, use those as you see fit. With that, it's time to get started. And so I'm going to pass the mic to Bob, who is going to share a bit about creative. Bob?
Graham, thank you very much. And also welcome everyone to our session this morning. Hopefully you'll be informative and knowledgeable. I thought I'd share just a little about creative. We've been helping manufacturing customers now for a better part of 20 years with a variety of technology. Graham, if you could. The technology that really enables our manufacturers, focusing around our customer. We focus on ERP technology like Epicor, and then to complement ERP, obviously you've got MES, shop floor controls, quality, but product lifecycle management are all enterprise class applications that are really driving our manufacturers' success. We're seeing more and more customers want to automate their factory floor, and more importantly, capture, report, and analyze the information that they're gaining from those enterprise systems. So we're seeing AI and analytics becoming a super powerhouse for our manufacturers. We've enjoyed partnering with MachineMetrics because they make the shop floor real, and then they allow us to look at tools, information, and make real-time decisions based on what's happening on the shop floor. So with that, I look forward to working with all of you. And now I'm going to turn it back to Graham for a deep dive into MachineMetrics.
Thank you, Bob. I'm really excited to just announce our partnership with Creative. They're awesome people. They've got a really forward-thinking vision about connecting the best-in-breed systems, and Bob has been great to work with in the team, and so it's exciting launch point for our partnership hosting this webinar together. So let's dive in, okay? So as promised, telling you guys a little bit about who we are here at MachineMetrics. We dub ourselves the next generation of manufacturing intelligence. MachineMetrics is a intelligent MES system. And what we do is we connect real-time data from machines on the factory floor with people and operational systems like ERP. And with that data, we create a unified data ecosystem that powers operational productivity and automated insights that help various people within the manufacturing lifecycle get answers to questions that they need every single day to run their business more efficiently and effectively than ever before. At its core, manufacturers need to understand what is happening and why. And MachineMetrics can quickly provide any manufacturer with a 360-degree view of what is going on within their sites. Not just providing dashboards and reports that help you understand at a machine or plant or even enterprise level what is happening, but transforming that data into automated insights that help our manufacturers make decisions so you can spend less time diving through data and analytics and more time taking action that drives improvements within your factory or factories. And the way MachineMetrics works is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to walk you through a few slides. The first stage of that journey for our customers is where we capture data, right? And there's a number of different data sources that we need to capture data from in order to understand what is happening in a factory. The first things that we'll do is capture data from machines. Turning, milling, stamping, fabrication, injection molding, cold heading, lasers, grinders, welders, robots, cobots, you name it. We've developed connectivity that is universal to all different types of machines. So we don't only pull that data, but we turn it into a common data infrastructure that allows you to know not just if a machine is running or not, but if it's making parts, what program is running on the machine, and if the machine's in an alarm state or a downtime event. We then contextualize that data with data from operations, work orders, operation information or part operation information, cycle time standards, quality and downtime codes. And we use those two data streams to not only track the machine, but understand exactly what work order is running on what machine at any given moment. And that data helps us understand what's really happening. One thing that we've learned at MachineMetrics is it's not just good enough to know that a machine is running or not. What we want to know is what was running on that machine and is it going to be done on time, right? And so using MachineMetrics, we can provide insights, including capacity analysis to understand under and overutilized assets, but also, hey, it's time to do maintenance on this machine. This is the bottleneck that's hurting your ability to get your work order done on time. Or even more interesting, saying, hey, this is a work order that's been scheduled incorrectly. Let's make an adjustment to that schedule and do it on the fly so we can reduce WIP and improve our ability to deliver on time. So with these three paradigms, MachineMetrics both captures data, analyzes it to provide insights, and then drives improvements that help our teams make more with less resources than ever before. And I think everybody on this call would probably agree that resource constraints are specifically with people, can be the biggest challenge to us continuing to improve our businesses. And I've been with MachineMetrics for over 9 years, which feels like a lifetime. When I started, we were just 5 people in a small office here in Massachusetts. Today we're a global company, so we support manufacturers all over the world, from mom and pop job shops all the way to some of the largest manufacturers in the world that use our technology and rely on it to monitor and gain intelligence into their production across global sites. As I mentioned before, we are a US-based company. We've got dozens of team members here in the United States. We're venture backed, so all that means we got a bunch of money behind us, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon. And it allows us to continue to innovate and provide the best product in the market for our customers. And we've won a bunch of awards and accolades that just help, I guess, further validate MachineMetrics as the leader in production, monitoring, and intelligence on a global scale in the discrete manufacturing space. Okay, I'm going to pause, take a sip of my water, and move on from my product plug to talking a little bit more about the broader concepts that we're here to solve. Okay, so a question to all of us. I'm sure everybody here is hearing. You can throw it in the chat or the Q&A, but how many of us have heard of digital transformation? How many of us have been witnessing the AI revolution happening in real time? Is that something that we all are seeing, feeling, experiencing, feeling pressure on? Sounds like yes, based on the responses that I'm getting. A 2020 McKinsey and Company study revealed that 70% of these efforts that companies are taking to digitally transform are failing, right, to meet the goals. That even more inspiring to the fact that we know that we need to transform, we are struggling to do so in an effective way. And that's because it's really freaking hard. Today's manufacturers in general are disconnected. So we all face this unprecedented pressure to improve, to maximize productivity, but we're still struggling with disconnected systems, right? How many times does the plan actually go to plan? Machine data, what's happening on the floor is siloed from our ERP. We have limited visibility into this in real time. So we don't actually know if we're ahead or behind. Oftentimes we don't know until it's too late, right? And it leads us in a state of reactivity. We also have a lot of manual processes. Who still collects data on, pens and paper and whiteboards, or, in the mental place, right? I'm sure many of you do. And the time and effort and inactionability of those processes make it even harder to make decisions. And And this leads to just tremendous inefficiency. Machines and operators are not performing at our capacity. We know this. Delivery dates are missed. And it's really hard to predict and manage our schedules when we don't know how long it's really going to take to get something done. And MachineMetrics, we've connected to thousands of machines all over the world across hundreds of customers. And we find that when we start working with a customer, that the utilization of their manufacturing equipment is less than 30%. And I'm sure that if you guys had your microphones on, I'd either hear some gasps or on the other hand, acknowledgement that we know that this is the case. Regardless of whether or not you're at 28%, 10%, or even 50%, machines are tremendously underutilized within our factories. And this is often a product of not having the right information to improve our ability to use them. And it's not just good enough to know that a machine is running or not. We need to know if it was supposed to be running, right? And to do that requires more context. But this number is highly illustrative of the fact that there's incredible amounts of improvement to be had on the factory floor. Yet, what do when we feel capacity constraints? Well, we buy a $500,000 new machine, right? Or $1 million new machine, thinking that that's the most efficient approach to growth. But in reality, it's slowing down our ability to improve because we're not solving the root cause of the problem. And so the question is, well, first of all, what is going to solve this problem, right? Why MES? And this slide just illuminates sort of on the left side, you've got the complexities of daily life, right? Maintenance, frontline workers, operations, ERP, machines, and they're all disconnected from each other. On the right, they're all connected. They're all working together in a symbiotic environment that helps us make decisions, right? Using real-time information. And MES was designed to fill this gap, right? These systems were sort of shoehorned in between our business systems, let's call that the ERP, and the shop floor, process and automation. And the goal for MES was to connect them, right? Machines on the factory floor and people are doing things. The business system is meant to orchestrate everything, but without having a system that connects the two, most manufacturers are left in that disconnected state that I described before. And the premise of MES was, hey, we can solve that by putting a layer in between these two that helps us orchestrate the actual execution of this work on the factory floor. Great premise, right? Sadly, the results have been less than extraordinary. MES systems have failed at tremendous rates for decades, despite being seen as the answer to this challenge. I talked to a customer the other day that said they were something like 7 years into an MES implementation. And that just felt, it's like AI wasn't even a thought in our heads, 7 years ago. But I guess the reason we see these systems fail are because when they were developed with a process-focused mindset, meaning the human at the center of the loop. So excessive manual data entry was required. And that manual data entry, highly reliant on people, creates inefficiencies. Because MES systems were sort of a conglomerate of a number of different use cases, and if you ask somebody what an MES system is, they might be like, oh, it's a system where my operators clock in and out of jobs and submit labor tickets, right? It's like, that's a job of MES, right? Some people say, oh, it helps with my maintenance, it helps with my work instructions, it helps track my machines. MES is oftentimes a conglomerate of 10, 15 different use cases, but because they've all been sort of clumped into this one system, they are often trying to solve every problem, but masters of none. And because of that, they take forever to get up and running, and they take too long to deliver value. And the ongoing challenge of keeping them up and running, but using these legacy technologies requires high amounts of cost and maintenance, which is, of course, exactly what the providers want, right? Because they can nickel dime and charge you for all the work that those system integrators have built, right, to configure it or build you a new dashboard or a new report. And the last thing they want to do is put that power in your hands, so you don't need to pay. You keep paying for these systems, right? There's a lot of data to support that this problem exists. Gartner's 2022 report says that many of the MESs lack integration with real-time machine data, meaning that they're not really solving the problem. They're still disconnected from what's really happening on the factory floor. Customization challenges. LNS, one of my favorite research groups, found that over 50% of manufacturers reported extensive customization needed for a basic MES solution. That leads to more money, more time. Delayed time to value. IDC, who we spoke with a couple of days ago, actually, they highlighted that these MES systems in a traditional stamp often take 12 to 24 months to deploy, even at a single site. And that can significantly delay value. And on the other side of the equation, you've got these machine monitoring tools, right? And this is nothing new. Machine monitoring has really been around since the early 90s, even late 80s. I've talked to people who've been doing this for 20 years. And they're focused essentially only on, are my machines running or not? But the problem is that these systems are slowly losing favor due to their limited scope. And without business context, meaning, well, my machines were not running all the time. Well, did we have enough work to run our machines? This data fails to drive meaningful improvements. And that's a big problem, because if you're over-reliant on continuous improvement efforts, but the effort itself is driven by false premises, well, then you're spending a lot of money on a solution that's not really solving your problem. And then even worse, when you're monitoring your machines, but there's nowhere to go after you've solved that initial problem, you're stuck in another box, right? And so this debate rages on. I built this really dumb cartoon. Obviously, I didn't draw this. I wish I had those skills, but I added some labels in there. And so the customer, are sort of stuck in the middle of this debate. Do we buy a system? Do we build a system? There's no question that we need these systems, right? With AI and the advent of agentic technologies, data is the foundation. And without data, right, we'll never have the ability to automate an autonomous processes. But you, the customer, are stuck sort of in between software providers and system integrators. Should we be buying an off-the-shelf MES or machine monitoring software? Should we be building our own system? I'm just going to give you the answer to that. Don't do that. You definitely don't want to build your own system. But what we've learned is that the best approach to delivering solutions in this market is both. You need to buy a system that supports your core needs, and then it needs to be configurable to your business. And that's what we have at MachineMetrics, of course, because it's our webinar. But intelligent MES systems are purpose-built for discrete manufacturers, meaning that they've been designed to connect to your machines, to connect to your ERP systems, to provide you the core use cases that you need on a day-to-day basis. And as it turns out, we are all snowflakes, right? There are differences in how all of us do things, right? But as it turns out, there are similarities as well in how we all do things. And these similarities, which I'll talk about momentarily, called the core four, are the ways that we track downtime, OEE, schedule, and track labor and work orders. And those core four use cases can be very similar across almost any discrete manufacturing customer. And then on top of that, we can configure a platform to support our unique needs by drag and drop dashboards and reports and automation workflows that trigger actions in our unique factory systems. But that's what we propose as the best solution for these manufacturing problems. By connecting the ERP and the shop floor, we're solving some key problems. Number one, we're eliminating manual data entry, right? You can automate data collection on the shop floor, and that just opens up time, effort, resources for people, right? And the data itself is accurate. So we're not reliant on an estimation or a finger in the wind. This is real machine data-driven data collection. The second solution is we're breaking down the silo, right? So by breaking down the silo between what we're running and our machines, you can sync job progress, labor, scrap, and downtime between the factory floor and the systems that you use, say MachineMetrics, and an ERP system like Epicor Kinetic. With the connecting ERP in the shop floor, you can enable true visibility into your production. Real-time insights into your machines, your people, your processes, and the status of your work orders in real time. You can drive production execution itself with a real-time feedback loop that provides guidance to various stakeholders within the manufacturing lifecycle, from frontline workers to management, essentially guiding them on what they need to do, when they need to do it to take corrective action, without having to over-rely on the people themselves to make those decisions. Now, how it works is pretty straightforward. I'm going to sort of walk you through the MachineMetrics architecture and how we do this today. The first thing that we do, and I mentioned this before, is that we connect to machines, and we've developed, we're probably the best in the world when it comes to getting data from machines. So we spent the better half of a decade building connectors to your machines. If you guys are machine data nerds like us, pulling data from machines is really freaking hard. Data comes out of these machines in a number of different formats, from FANUC to Siemens to Heidenhain to Haas, OPC UA, Ethernet IP, Modbus TCP, MT Connect, FANUC Focus. If those are your terms and you know what they mean, awesome. If you don't, the gist is that all these machines, they speak different languages. And our machine connectivity platform was designed so we translate them all into the same language. And that way we know when one machine is running and when is not. But we also know when a machine is in downtime. We know when a machine is in alarm state. We know what program is running on what machine. And those capabilities allow our intelligent platform to provide automated insights, downtime, better understanding why our machines are down and why they're not running, and as well as OEE and production analytics, so we can better understand, are we hitting our standard cycle times and which operations are profitable and not. Now, when you add addition, we had to do essentially the same thing for ERP, and it was not easy. By building standard machine data connectors, we could connect to all your different pieces of equipment on the factory floor and standardize that data so we could drive analytics and intelligence. And we did the same thing for ERP. And so we've developed point-and-click connectors for Epicor ERP systems that allow us to sync your work orders, your production standards, your downtime reason codes, your part operations, your quality reason codes, your due dates, your scheduled to start by work order dates into MachineMetrics. And when we coalesce and connect these two data streams, this platform, our platform, becomes far more intelligent. And it can start delivering significantly more value to our customer than just a basic machine monitoring system. Not only are you tracking the status of your machines, if they're running or not, if they're down or why or OEE, but we're going a lot further than that. We're able to track the actual status of your work orders in real time. We're able to provide a single interface to start and stop work, to bidirectionally sync labor into your ERP system, to understand when our schedules are off and make automated improvements that help us deliver to our customers faster and more efficiently than before. And all of that is fully synced. You don't have to write custom code. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a citizen developer to deploy a solution like MachineMetrics, connecting your factory floor to your ERP system, and garner these core 4 use cases that every manufacturer needs. Now, on top of that, we present a number of different use cases outside of that. From, as I said, every customer has their own needs. Build your own reports, configure your own dashboards. They test out the product on people like me. It needs to be so easy that I can do it, and I can, and so can you. And these tools are just designed to configure the product to your own unique needs without having to rely on a system integrator or a developer to do those things. And we talked a little bit about this. But I do want to talk a little bit about our point-and-click Epicor connector because it's really cool. So for Epicor specifically, and through our partnership with Creative, we're able to pull the work orders, active work orders that are transferred from your ERP to MachineMetrics, and we're able to keep operators updated with the latest orders and to enhance their operational efficiency. So in many ways, we're removing the need to have, sort of like a paper traveler or a whiteboard or an Excel spreadsheet to track these different work orders. Operators' labor inputs can be done in our system. This is a huge knock on many machine monitoring systems, is that you've got one monitoring system that's tracking downtime over here, and then you're asking operators to engage with another system. And before you know it, you've got like a mosaic of tablets in front of an operator, right? And they're like, oh, I enter this one, I enter that one, I do this one. It's like, that's not what we want, right? We want a single place where operators can engage and garner insights onto what is happening, as well as to provide the information they need to do their jobs every day, right? And so our web-based platform provides an interface to not only track and start and stop jobs, to clock in, clock out, but to actually input work order and labor information back into the ERP system, accurate records driven by real-time insights from the machines. So you can have automated transparency and efficiency without redundancy and double data entry into multiple systems. Because we have this data now efficient and accurately reported, we can deliver you insights through improved reports, understanding our schedules and why they're falling behind, reports on all of our cycle times that are inaccurate, the top bottlenecks to our production analytics and downtime. All this data can sync with your ERP system to reflect what's really happening in your factories. And that ensures accurate, up-to-date ERP system. And systems like Epicor, probably the best ERP systems on the market, can be ruined by bad data, right? The data we put in is about as good as the data that we get out. And so by using a system like MachineMetrics, we can dramatically bolster the value of our ERP system and make it far more intelligent by connecting it to our factory floor. And then our customers will use it to do their daily tasks, right? So with our integration, like I said, we pull all the work orders into MachineMetrics, and then we have a scheduling system, which I'll show you momentarily, that allows you to actually track the status of your work orders. You can adjust and amend those work orders using real-time analytics, and then sync that to an operator interface where they can make decisions on, oh, this is the work that you would like me to work on next. Great, let me do that. And then they can submit, start, stop jobs, submit that back into the ERP system, and then be queued up on what they need to do next using that scheduling system to make their whole daily lives far more automated and efficient than they were before. I'm just gonna take a little sip of my water. Okay, we already talked about this, so I'm just going to dive into some of the core use cases that we talked about before. And these are these core 4 needs that every customer that we've seen asks for. Every customer needs to know when their machines are running or not, right? We talked about that. But the way that MachineMetrics does that in a far more intelligent way is that we automate analytics. So because we're connected to the machines themselves, because we're connected to the ERP, because we're connected to the people, we can provide these insights to you in unique ways. For example, MachineMetrics uses program information, shift schedules, scheduled work, alarm codes to automate downtime categorizations. And we call this this technology ADC, or automated downtime classification. Of course, we've got cool names for everything internally, but the gist is that in the past, monitoring systems were asked operators for all of this information, right? And some downtime you need an operator to tell you, right? But using MachineMetrics, our ADC can classify downtime codes for hundreds of various reasons, and it's very easy to set up. And we can provide you a Pareto of downtime to help you understand some of your top bottlenecks without requiring operators to enter any data into our system at all. However, as you probably gleaned, some downtime you can't know without having operators tell you. And so we also have an interface that allows operators to tell you what is happening. And so they can add reason codes. They can be prompted to the operator based on any methodology, like time-based, condition-based, you name it. And then you can have a full Pareto and bottleneck analysis that's driven for you by MachineMetrics that tells you, hey, here's the top bottlenecks within your production. And the system takes that a step further to analyze those downtime reasons and even present to you solutions that you can take to solve those problems. Configurable workflows within the system allow you to notify people when these issues are happening. Texts, emails, Teams notifications. I've seen people configure downtime codes to play music within their factories. It's really cool what you can do with the system, but the gist here is that we got to know when we're running and why we're not, if we're not hitting our goals, and downtime tracking is key to that. The second core 4 is OEE and production analytics. And you guys have probably heard OEE. It's a critical KPI for most manufacturers, and it's really hard to get because you need to know, A, when your machines were scheduled to run. You need to know if they're running at the right speed. And then you need to know if they're operating at producing parts at the right quality, right? Availability, performance, and quality, right? MachineMetrics takes a highly intelligent way to give you automated OEE. Because we know what work orders and even operations are running on what machines, our system matches programs to cycle time standards within the ERP and can provide you instant cycle time analytics for your performance metrics to tell you exactly whether or not you're hitting those targets or not. If you don't have standards, our system can actually baseline those standards for you and then compare against those baselines and present to you knowing exactly when your machine was supposed to be running based on an automated standard, pulling data either from an operator input or through another quality input, what your quality was for that production run, an automated OEE metric. I've even seen customers use an in-process probe to track quality or CMM data, and then you can feed that data back into MachineMetrics, and just like that, you've got automated OEE without requiring any operator input for your different operations.
Yeah, Graham, I just wanted to underscore that point that the baselines is incredibly powerful. Just by turning on your machines and starting to connect to this real-time data, it's going to generate, the system will generate automated baselines for cycle times, for utilization, for all sorts of trend analysis, and then give you that trend pattern associated with how you're improving. Because if you implemented Kaizens, you want to see that improvement. So it's a really powerful feature that I just wanted to underscore there.
No, that's a great underscore. And speaking of underscore, Rutherford, I mean, I figure since you're here, like, why don't you tell us a little bit about factory floor scheduling and job tracking, seeing as these have been things that you've helped us release over the last 2 years that have been absolutely mind-blowing to our customers.
I love talking about mind-blowing stuff because that's what I build. I build mind-blowing stuff. But the dynamic scheduling is particularly mind-blowing because, I mean, we're going to cover some other things about how we use this data near the end. But just with the dynamic scheduling, we know when you connect so when you get a company like Creative to help build your ERP and we connect to it in MachineMetrics, all of your work information is coming into our system. And so if you look at this little diagram that we have here, I know it's a little bit small, but we track every machine and we track all the jobs that are happening in that active column in real time. And the thing about it is we're calculating your cycle time automatically based on what is actually happening, whether you're running fast or running slow, whether you're meeting your expected cycle time or you're not. And we're communicating that and comparing when that job, we're using an AI engine to actually predict when that job is going to be completed. But it doesn't just stop there. We can look at that information and then predict when the next job that's queued up, that's been dispatched on that machine, when that's going to start, when the job after that. And so every time a cycle is completed, we calculate and we recalculate that schedule based on where things are now. And so if you start to experience downtime on your machine, it's very likely you're not going to get that job done when you expected to get it done. And maybe it's going to be late, maybe not, but you can start to see the impacts in real time about how the rest of your schedule is going to be operating and whether things are going to be, whether this lateness or this downtime is going to impact your schedule. And so when we talk about dynamic scheduling, we're talking about, every cycle instantly giving you that feedback about where you are. And so if your card is red, you're late. If the card is orange, you're at risk of being late. And we all like the clear cards because that means on-time delivery is what to be expected. And so it's really great feedback to give you insight about where you are, as well as the capacity, how much capacity are you using on your schedule. So so the dynamic, the factory floor scheduling and dispatch system gives you that insight and then allows you through just dragging and dropping to update the schedule to optimize it.
Couldn't have said it better myself because I couldn't. So while you're at it, Rutherford, you want to talk about how that connects to tracking jobs?
Oh, sure. So the schedule is a communication tool. And oftentimes, if everyone's had a case where you have to change your schedule midday. And so the drag and drop functionality of the schedule is great, but now you got to tell that to the operator. And so with our job tracking interface, it's tied directly into the schedule. So an operator can see exactly what jobs have scheduled. They can see what's up next. They can see what's coming after that. And if there's a change to the production schedule, that's communicated to them in real time. And so it gives them the facility to understand, all the work that they need to do for their shift and then start to plan appropriately for it. And then it's very simple for them to start and stop jobs. And that information is tracked and synced into Epicor in real time, or close to real time. It takes like 30 seconds to get everything kind of tied up, 10 to 30 seconds. And so the whole point about this is it's one single interface to communicate your schedule, communicate whether it's running on time or not, because that information is also now displayed to the operator, how well they're running it, and then gives them that facility to start, stop jobs, and submit how many parts they've made. And since we're counting parts on the machines, we're going to present to them how many parts they've made. And if MachineMetrics is off by 1 or 2, they also have the opportunity to course correct. So it's a very powerful tool to give them that capability of just very easily tracking jobs and keeping it simple, and they don't have to worry about going into another interface to do that. The key thing about this, when it has that interface, is we're also giving you information about your schedule. So as I mentioned, whether things are running late, whether there's downtime, and in some cases, if you need to change gears and do a hot job that came in, because I'm sure everyone here on the call has had those priority jobs that pop in and you got to reschedule, all that communication can happen digitally through our system. And that just reduces the amount of load of making sure everyone heard the information about a new job that's high priority kind of comes in. And so those are some of the basic benefits of looking at the job tracking and managing, work throughout the MachineMetrics platform.
Well said. And what's really cool about this technology is that this isn't just looking at one site. We've developed out of the box widgets that help you dice, splice, view the data in any way that you want, right? Multi-plant aggregation widgets that help you see why is this site in Edmonton performing worse than my site in New Berlin. Why is my machining operations in Reynosa performing worse than my Nakamura's in Houston, right? So these capabilities help you gain insights to what's happening, whether you're in the site, whether you're looking over 12 sites, whether you've got a small machine shop, all of it within a single platform, and you don't need to write any custom code to build these dashboards. Just all out of the box tools that you can leverage to glean information that helps you make decisions. Of course, extending value, right? We're providing all these insights, right? MachineMetrics is often connected to other systems, monitoring conditions and triggering work orders and maintenance systems, right? We're connecting many times to BI and other tools, right, within the factory floor stack. But one thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about today is how MachineMetrics is leveraging AI to actually execute the work. And to do that, I'm going to bring back my wonderful associate, Rutherford, who's going to talk a little bit about how MachineMetrics is transforming itself, not just into like an intelligent MES, but really an AI-driven MES with our latest features and functionality.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. I mean, the things that we're doing with AI in our framework is actually transformational. And we're in the beta test with a number of different customers, and they're asking questions. I mean, their key problem is all this information is great, but where do I need to focus? If they get a report of the performance of their shift or yesterday's production across 3 shifts, where do they need to focus? And so we started launching with an AI chatbot that has access to all your ERP data, has access to your real-time information. We've actually trained it on Six Sigma and lean management principles, and it can give you advice about where to focus your time. And so by asking a simple question is like, which machines performed the worst yesterday, and what do I need to do to rectify it? It is going to give you an answer associated with real-time data, how to best change the things based on how the machines actually operated, and point out different problem domains. If you had machines that were running cycle time, where your cycle time was actually slower, it's going to tell you by how much and whether that was a problem because the speeds and feeds were turned down, or whether it might have been something connected with the operator. It is that smart. And the more information it learns about your system, it can even give you advice about where to run your jobs. So for example, on our dynamic scheduling system, we're tracking how each job ran on each machine and how it performed. And that's information that is now available to the AI to recommend, hey, if you're running part ABC, it runs faster on your Nakamura than the other machines that you have in your shop. And so we're starting to launch this as a chat engine, but it's way more bigger than that. It really is a digital workforce. We're building out specific agents that are going to replicate or help you assist each role of your shop floor. So we have we're calling our AI engine Max AI. And so Max is going to have an assistant for your supervisor that can help build shift summaries, coordinate operator performance, identify where your biggest issues are. We're going to have Max Continuous Improver, who's going to help understand how to manage your best capacity and suggest Kaizens that you should run in order to find improvements. Max Planner is going to be able to dynamically reschedule your system once you approve it, of course. We don't want to do anything once you approve it, in order to make sure that you're on the right path. Everyone's seen, if you've used Google Maps or any of those mapping tools, if you're driving to a destination and there's a faster way to get there, it's going to tell you. And that's the way we're designing Max Scheduler, to basically identify and always check in to see if your current schedule is on the right path to maximize to minimize your setup times, or your number of setups that you have to do, and maximize your on-time delivery. And so these are some of the things that we're going to be introducing with our AI framework that are very exciting.
It's really cool, Rutherford. Max maximizes. There's something there for marketing, but we'll leave it to the pros there when we get there. But I was playing with Max this morning, and this is a great example for those of you who are here. And with a potential customer, they ran a pilot with MachineMetrics, and they've got a number of different sites, and their biggest concern, right, at the onset was, do we have the people, right, to take the data and make decisions? And they were using Max to start asking their data questions, right? And it turns out that by asking Max questions and getting the answers they need, they immediately got the confidence that, hey, we don't necessarily need somebody to be able to parse through all this data and spend all their time analyzing it, because Max is giving me the answers that I need from day one. And I think that this is the core of execution, right? Is like, how do we make more with less, right? And AI tools, right, powered by real-time machine, ERP, and knowledge from the customer is like the game-changing technology that helps us do more with less. And so we've sort of reached the end of our spiel here. We are grateful that you all have the time to listen to us. Just a couple quick hitters. If you're interested in learning more about MachineMetrics, go to MachineMetrics.com, check out our website. If you're more interested in learning about creative, ctnd.com, that's their place. You can always check it out there. If you want to learn more about our partnership, you can obviously connect either party. We can tell you more about that. And lastly, if you're going to be at FabTech, MachineMetrics is going to be there coming up. Feel free to stop by the booth, say hi, squeeze us for some swag. I'm sure we can hook you up. Outside of that, we've got about 7 minutes for some Q&A, and we've got a lot of people here and some good questions. So for those of you that do have questions, don't forget, throw them in the Q&A, and we're happy to answer those questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to get started with some of them that we've got here, and feel free to just keep adding. Okay, so all right, so let me just pause my my screen share here. Okay, so question: what versions of Epicor does MachineMetrics integrate with? Rutherford, would you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so we integrate with Epicor Kinetic, starting with version, I believe it's 10.4.600, and also with Epicor Native at that same version number. So if you've got Epicor Kinetic, it's that point and click connection that we can do.
Awesome. And I was at 10.2.500 plus. That's what I had heard in the past. I think that's the one you were referring to, but maybe I'm wrong with the number. We'll get back on that. Thank you for the question on that. Other questions. Can MachineMetrics track more than just machines? Good question. We do have customers that track additional processes within MachineMetrics. Again, the goal is to have a single interface for operators to engage with across their global sites. Feel free to reach out to us, and we can share a little bit more about what that looks like for your operations. We've got a question that actually just came in. I'll just prioritize it. Epicor is an integration connector that syncs data to ERP, right? So data is stored in a local system. If so, what if any issues arise while syncing? The data might not be accurate as work order already marked as complete or shipped, or et cetera. Rutherford, do you understand the question that's being asked here?
Yeah, I do. So we have we sync often through the system. So I believe it's a configurable level of sync. You can sync every 5 minutes, and we get the latest changes associated with the Epicor. So So when we sync the data, if there's any issues with sync, we actually queue that up and we resync. We're using sort of a messaging system to manage that. So we always have guaranteed delivery of the sync data, and we can always update and make sure we get the information. So barring some critical outages like Epicor goes down, or the network at the plant goes down, we can make sure we can control those errors very confidently. And just one thing to make sure that I clarify: our Epicor integration is actually deployed onto our edge, so it's sitting in our customers in the customer's network domain. So the connection between Epicor and our system is on the same network. And then we push that up to the cloud. So we're pretty confident that if we get that information to our edge, we know exactly what to do to make sure it gets synced to our cloud. So everything stays in sync and up to date.
Awesome. Thanks, Rutherford. Hopefully that answered your question for those who asked. We got follow-up questions, so I want to make sure we address this. Rutherford, I don't know if you can see the question that's being brought in.
I'll answer this over line. We can go on to the next question. I'll answer BJ directly.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, there was a question about does MachineMetrics integrate with maintenance systems? The answer is yes. We do have out-of-the-box integrations with MaintainX, Fix, and Upkeep. And for those of you that might not know that use case, it would be using like meter-based, alarm-based, or condition-based machine data to trigger work orders in the maintenance system. Great use case. We do also have the ability for operators using our, we call it Shop Pulse, which is our operator interface, just with a single click to also instigate a work order in your maintenance system. I think the value here is that typically a maintenance schedule is driven by a calendar, right? And if any of you, aren't driving your car a lot, right? Well, then you probably don't need to change the oil, right? And the same thing applies to these machines. But by monitoring the meters or alarms or conditions or thresholds or usage of the machine, it's a far better way to run your maintenance program. And so using those data items, we can automate and develop like just workflows that trigger these maintenance events in your systems for you. We've only got 2 minutes, so I just want to answer one last question that came in, which is around just time. Like, how long does it take to implement MachineMetrics? And the answer is, it depends. Typically we see like for a 50+ machine manufacturer, if you're looking to have a customer fully onboarded, it can take anywhere from 1 to 3 months. I think that's like a safe time frame. If you're looking for a full MES, meaning bidirectional ERP integration, sometimes it can take a little bit longer. Just as we, there's some like fine tuning, as Rutherford was mentioning, making sure that we're writing back to the ERP tables properly. And then there's some, just training, right? Moving operators from doing one thing, doing the other thing. And we have team members that are essentially that have developed strategies that we've worked on to help you with those transitions. But a great example was earlier this year, we had a customer that moved to MachineMetrics. We were able to roll out across, I think it was 8 sites within 8 months. So it is very possible to scale up MachineMetrics quickly. I think less than just us, more about infrastructure, just having network cables dropped, having good infrastructure, right? Having IT involvement. Those are the things that we found that are always helpful to ensuring a great implementation. If there was no IT requirements, I'd be a billionaire. But that's just not the way the world works. In fact, we bridge the gap between IT and OT by bringing these groups together. So if you're interested in learning more about how MachineMetrics work for your site, like I said, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to the creative folk, and they can get you in touch with the right people. But because we've hit the top of the hour, it's time to wrap. I'm Graham Immerman here with MachineMetrics. Thank you for the creative people hosting us, Mary, Bob, my co-host, forever co-host Rutherford. Always a pleasure. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.